And we are live.
Yes, we are. Hey, everybody. It is Broadcast Team Alpha. It's the Sunday show on Wednesday night. Uh, we have a really interesting show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about the Age of Aquarius. What the heck is that? Right? I mean, it would be, I would be surprised if somebody said, no, Nori, I don't really recognize that there's anything going on, anything different going on in the world. I mean, I think everybody down to the birds and the the creatures that live in the woods would agree if we could communicate with them. And in the Age of Aquarius, we actually are more likely to be able to communicate with them. They would say, too, that there's a shift going on. There's something going on. So I am graced, as always, by my co-hosts, the amazing Aage Nost and Tom Schaefer. Hi, guys.
Howdy,
Hello, hello.
howdy.
Hello, hello. What's
Yoo-hoo.
happening? Yeah, okay, so I got hot lights again on YouTube. Yeah.
When
Okay.
you're hot.
You just can't help it, right?
Just have to. We're trying to tell you to dial back your hotness.
I can't. I tried. It's just,
It is what it is.
it is what it is. So,
Well, she broke the knob at 100%, so she can't get it back now.
oh, you guys are just trying to make up for being the brothers I never had earlier. Yeah.
That's right. That is correct.
All right. Well, flattery will get you everywhere. Yeah. So, what's up, guys? Let's talk about the Age of Aquarius. I know we've got divergent views on some levels, and that's part of the beauty of our show. Um, but it's a new moon, and there's all kinds of energies that are happening right now as a result of the planetary alignment. So I'm feeling a little feisty.
That's great.
Let's do this.
Let's do it. Yeah, I think maybe start off with what is this? We heard it in the 70s or the 60s or whenever it was, the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. We all heard that song and nobody paid attention to the lyrics. But then when you go and look at the lyrics, you see how it lines up with the constellations now. This dawning of the Age of Aquarius. So we're in the dawn of the Age of Aquarius. So what was the sunset? What went away and what started with Aquarius?
Right. So, first of all, I'm going to do a disclaimer. I am not an astrologer and I am not a Bible scholar because I am going to talk about some things in both of those arenas. But it's unknown, Tom, when we are actually stepping into the age of Aquarius. It's an astrological event, and the research that I've looked at said it goes about 2,150 years, right? A new age steps in. Some documents have said it goes 2,000 to 4,000 years, and it's cycles of energy and it's cycles of humanity. So we're leaving the age of Pisces. Pisces is a water sign, and we're going into the age of Aquarius, even though you see the woman behind us, the water bearer, right, bearing water.
And I thought Pisces was an air sign.
Pisces is water.
It's water? Oh, okay.
Aquarius is air.
Oh, I got
So,
them backwards. Yeah, I'm not an astrologer either.
yeah, it's okay. So, the water bearer often makes you think, oh, it's a water sign, but it's an air sign. So the age of Pisces, was water, and kind of what's lying within the murkiness of the water. That's where a lot of what's getting revealed now is coming to light, because the darkness of the age of Pisces, the deception, the disillusion, the illusion of the age of Pisces is going to be moving away, and we're moving into the time of where things float through the air. So we're moving into the time of higher consciousness. We're moving into the time of working with frequency. Allegedly, we're moving into the time where we can communicate more easily and more quickly on the telepathic levels. It's like we're going back to the time of great knowledge that, was like back in Atlantis. What do you guys
Yeah.
got?
And even before that.
And even before that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I know that in order for us to understand where we are, we say we're going into the age of Aquarius. That is wonderful, but where are we? Are we in either one of the Pisces or the Aquarius, or are we in between? In order to know where we are, it's good to know where we came from. Pisces, it's kind of the age of religion, deception, war, power-driven, whatever, government, and so on.
Right.
Even the old writings speak of that. In fact, some of the old writings that I've seen goes back to, let's say, India, like from the Rama Empire, 9,000 to 12,000 years ago. They talk about the yogas. And it's the age of darkness and ignorance is what they call it. Mm-hmm. So it isn't just in the Western world that we have this Aquarian age, and everywhere around the world they refer to something like this, but different names on it.
Right.
And we are going into the age of consciousness and universal energy. So what we're expecting is a big change from where we've been. If we think back on the Piscean age, man, oh man, that was rough. Look back in the Dark Ages, what they were doing to people back then, doing to masses of people.
Right.
War and misery and garbage.
Okay, but we're still in it. We're still in it.
Well,
and that's why we're seeing what looks like the apocalyptic times, because the age of Pisces is giving way, and I cut you off. Sorry, I told you I felt feisty. The age of Pisces is giving way, and included in the age of Pisces is the government and the cabal, and it was the common error. It's the age of illusion and fantasy, and that's why Hollywood is such a big part of this. And the age of Pisces, if you look at the symbol, it's two fish with their tails tied together and they're pulling, right? So that's what has been going on. And now the age of Aquarius is going to bring enlightenment, and the people who are invested in the age of Pisces, they're not letting go so easily. And that's part of what the growing pains that we're seeing, if you will, and the destruction of the old age of Pisces giving way to the new age of Pisces. That's why there's so much turmoil going on, according to this theory. Forgive me for cutting you off, Aage.
That's all right. I forgive you this time.
All right, thank you.
It's interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let me just continue a little bit, because there is kind of a sequel to what I was saying before. The calendars of the astrological calendar was before everything. After that, we got the Gregorian calendar, the Julianic calendar, we got the Chinese calendar and the Hebrew calendar, and all those, they're just by the clock. But the astrological calendars last for millions of years, and they will go on, and there will be somebody in the future knowing about these things. And it is not a real cutoff date. It's a gradual change from one age into the other one, but there is a neutral point between each age, which is very elusive. I don't think a lot of people really know, but I do have a theory on it. And a lot of people say that the change was in 2012. Okay, it could have been.
Wasn't that the unveiling?
Yeah, but I have a little different theory that I have gained from something in my download, as well as looking at maybe what the Aztecs wrote and why they wrote that. I'm thinking maybe 1987, like specifically August 16th. 31 years ago. And 31 years, that is kind of important, because that's a generation. 30 to 35 years is more or less in society is considered a generation. And that is a sort of there was a harmonic convergence back in 1987. And there was a clarion call that went out.
What is a clarion call?
A clarion call is a call for help in the spiritual world.
I see.
They were soliciting, so to speak, or they were asking higher souls to come in and make the change from the previous, what it was, and I have no particular great term for it, into the new age of higher consciousness. And this is, the Aztecs were actually, let's see, there was a guy named Jose Arguelles that set up this harmonic convergence. And he was guided to it, he was led to it, told to actually to go to the Aztecs and find the date to which to set it. And he did that because he understood the 22 and the 9 hell cycles of the 52 years that the Aztecs were, they knew of. And the Aztecs were told of their calendar by, oh God, I'm going to butcher that name, Quetzalcoatl. He came to them and said, this is what you will use for a calendar, for a ceremonial calendar of 260 years. That doesn't fit in with what we have, but he also told them of another calendar. That's the one you will go by for putting seeds in the ground and knowing people's age and stuff like that. But the ceremonial astrological calendar was set. And that's what he told them. And this there we go again, Quetzalcoatl, he was an Anunnaki. Because he was ousted, he was exiled from his family, and he walked the earth from continent to continent for millennia. And he was teaching, and he was wondering, when will it end? Because in the Aquarian age, he would be the ruler. That's what he was waiting for. This both is talked of in with the Aztecs and the Sumerian tablets.
You're talking about the shift.
Yes. And that's why the thing is, if the Piscean age ended in 1987, we are now in the Aquarian age. If it ended in 2012, we are now in the Aquarian age, or the very beginning of it, within
The
that
dawning.
generation, as they were talking about. It's going to take in a generation or more to make the change.
Okay.
So we're in that.
We're in the, right.
That's
Right.
been going on for the past generation, since the 60s, because you look
It's
at all the revolutionary changes that occurred in the 60s, one of which was there's some
Woodstock.
there's some
Sorry.
very interesting side notes about the music of the 60s. I believe it was every member of the Moody Blues. They believed that they were starseeds, and I believe that's been documented in interviews where they've talked about that. And so there was a lot of music that came out that was the whole rock thing, all of that. That was a big sweep. That was part of that dawning, and it literally wrote that song about the dawning of the Age of Aquarius. And I saw a video today where this guy broke it down, and he shows the lyrics of the song. And when you go back through the lyrics of the song and look at the constellations as to where they're at now, everything fits. So it's kind of interesting that this little bit of poetry, there was this consciousness awakening starting back then that was so disruptive. I mean, it was very disruptive. I grew up in the 60s, and I remember there was this, they called it the generation gap. My parents had come through World War II, and they were very patriotic and allegiant and very nostalgic for everything that happened in World War II. They loved all the big bands. They loved all that music. They loved all of that. And my generation was like, we don't want to identify with any of that. Now, I can talk to people that are into jazz and blues, and they talk about music from the 50s, and I can listen to that stuff now. But there was a point, and even in the 40s, some of that jazz is interesting to me. But when I was growing up, we didn't want to do any of that. Everything for us was about the future. It was about what's new, what's happening. I don't want to comb my hair like you. I don't want to wear glasses that look like you. I don't want to wear clothes that look like you. We were like a complete rejection of the past. I can remember that. And they did Time magazine articles on the generation gap. And there was a huge shift with the youth back then.
Oh, it was a big awakening. Look at
Absolutely.
the hippies. The hippies were all over the place, and they're still. I'm a member of two or three groups on Facebook, like hippies, 1960s and something. One of them's got several million members. The hippies are still around and they're alive, and they are of a higher consciousness than Joe Blow and Harry Hohandle down the street. I almost guarantee it.
Well, and that includes a lot of people in the baby boomer generation on down to my generation, which was just behind all of those people. So I graduated from high school in 76. So I was 16, 17, 18. My high school years were mid 70s. And so I remember all of the turmoil that was going on. I remember I was about 11 years old, I guess, 11 years old when they landed on the moon. And I don't want to argue that point with anybody, but I remember these milestones in history. They just seem to be keep rolling out one right after the other. The moon landings, then the assassinations that were going on, and the politics. I remember all that. It was very, very big, turbulent
Yeah.
shift back then.
And in fact, also they talk of a second harmonic convergence, which was 3 days ago, March 3rd, 2019, because of alignments of planets at that time, 3 days ago, so specific for opening of the new age. And it take one generation. This is probably in the middle of that one generation of change, and the natives around the world, they know about these. They know that the astrological calendar, and many of them go by it. Look at the Native Americans. The term goes, well, that was many moons ago, or he was visiting here 3 moons ago. They used those terms. So they went by the astrological more so than the 21st of March, that's going to be a special day. Well, no, they didn't necessarily know that.
Well, a lot of people they disregard astrology because they don't understand the links that it has. I didn't understand. I just thought, okay, horoscopes, all that stuff, that's just stuff for entertainment. It's all based on a bunch of hooey, and everybody's horoscope always sounds the same anyway. It's always pretty safe. And that's your drugstore astrology. But from what little I know now, what little research I've done, is it's all linked to sacred geometry and cycles and astrological cycles of gigantic proportions that it's not something casual that people kind of put together as a parlor game. There's a lot of calculation that's going on.
Well, in Genesis 1:13, and I'm paraphrasing, it said, "Let there be light. These are the stars to separate day from night, and let them be for signs." So just because some of us went amnesic, there are other enlightened beings, religions, beliefs that continue to follow the alignment of the planets. But I think it's important, and right now with everything that's going on with the divisions that are happening, it's still being said in some realms that astrology is of the occult and it's not of the light. But when I see that in the Bible, I mean, Psalms 147:4 said he tells the number of the stars and he calls them by name. Why is there discussion about the stars in the Bible?
Well, see,
There's a lot of astrology in the Bible. Like what you just said there, that proves that the people in 325 AD that created the first draft of the Bible, they were very read people, and they had access to the old records about astrology, and they pulled that, and they couldn't state it in those terms necessarily, but they talked in parables so that the people would accept it, and it would please the Roman emperor, which ordered the Bible to be created in the first place.
I want to go back, Nori. You started talking about something earlier, and that was really kind of where we were going with this Aquarius rising, that there's this shift. And so one of the things I wanted to look at was the place I was going was with music. And I think I mentioned this to you a week ago. There's a song within the Star is Born soundtrack that they did, and it's called Maybe It's Time. And I encourage anybody to go look at the lyrics to that song. it is a song about this very shift. Maybe it's time to let the old ways die. And that's what you were talking about, that Pisces, we went out from Pisces to Aquarius, that there's this shift of letting the old go away and starting into something new.
Right. And we're going to reaching to the higher mind. Transformational change, right? That's why we're going into genetic engineering, and it's said that that's why there's an increase in energetic healing and telepathy, because these are all the things that go through the air, right? And the air sign is the age of Aquarius. And and the children that are coming in have amazing powers and gifts, and it's important for us, to nurture and to empower them, especially during this time, because this is a time of everything's carried through the air, right? That's why we're, hear a lot about angels. Not that we didn't hear about angels before, right? Lasers, remote controls, frequency, bandwidth, signals. Now with that, there's some, there's the other side of it, right? The 5G side of it. And Pisces was a very private sign. Aquarius is not a private sign. Aquarius is the collective. It's about sharing, and that's why social media, is such a big part of our lives. Aquarius is that there's no secrets, right? We're dialing up the light, and that's going to impact human rights and evolution, and it's transparency, and that's why so many things that were of the darkness, of the murkiness, right? The murkiness that lies within the water is being dismantled, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And we are going into a more friendly environment, and friendly association among people. Even I think it was an assistant to the chief of staff for the military in the United States. He says, we don't need any more wars because we're not going to have them. And from the military to say something like that, that means that, well, there are probably skirmishes, but it means big things. 50 years ago, you never would have heard that from the military.
That's true. That's big. That's a big change. That's a very big change. That's moving into the arena of transparency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge change. Yeah.
Because they know that a war is filled with corruption, and they also know in the future it will be laid open so people would see where the corruption was, so they could come around and slap them. And when that openness comes, that is what will happen. So that may be another encouragement for the ones that really don't want the peace to just go along with it. So we are going at it from different directions, and we're going to get to this nicer place. Where Tom calls it, be nice.
I call it a shift in the collective consciousness.
It's kind of a crossover time, because you still have all these people clinging to the old ways, and then there are those of us that are awake and trying to move forward and feel like we've got like lead chains tied to our ankles sometimes, trying to drag everybody else along. So yeah, it's
I don't know if it's up to us to drag other people along, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems like sometimes that's you're trying to we're all existing in a world that isn't totally awake, and sometimes trying to explain these things doesn't make a lot of sense to people. So sometimes we're not talking to the right people. So that's why I like being around like minds, like you guys and other people.
Well, we're all in the process of awakening, and I feel like we're all just walking each other home, right? You might have a lantern, Aage might have a flashlight, I might have a candle. We're all walking each other home, and we're all awakening each other. There are things that we're learning, especially right now with the planetary alignment. There's a lot of stuff going on with masculine and feminine. There's a ton of stuff going on. So if there are relationships blowing up, or all of a sudden there's just an influx of that polar energy of masculine and feminine, and it's not blending so well, that's a sign of what's going on.
So what do you know about what some are saying, that there are these giant? I'm kind of asking in an everyman way. I've heard this, so I want to know what, maybe you can speak to it a little bit. Talking about giant energy waves coming at us from the center of the galaxy, and how these energy waves are also part of this shift.
Yeah, I don't know. Aage might be able to speak to that better. All I know is that I am aware of the energetic shifts. I am aware of the energetic shifts on a very, very sensitive level. And a lot of the people that I work with, as a healing artist, are aware of them also. And the thing that's very interesting to me, just like when I worked in the emergency room, I would see people come with trends of symptoms, and I'm still seeing that now. Like for a couple of weeks, I just met with people who were having neurologic symptoms. And I'm like, what is going on that suddenly everybody's having neurologic symptoms? So wow. I can only speak to it from that perspective, but I don't know, maybe Aage?
Well, I can go at that from two different directions. One of the things is what I saw in the download. I saw the disk, that's the galaxy, and then there was this spike coming out from the middle. And later on now, I have actually read there was a Russian scientist that says he could detect more radiation, and there wasn't gamma. I don't think there was more radiation and coming from the direction of the center of the galaxy to our direction than it had been 20, 30, 40 years ago. So it's probably that spike that he's talking about. So there is something coming out from there that helps to raise our vibration, and it'll probably last for a generation or so, and then the spike is over, and then we move into whatever we are going to be afterward. Hopefully maybe I'll be done with this ball of mud called Earth that we're living on. I wouldn't mind.
What if it changes so that it's heaven on earth?
Yeah.
What if it changes to that? Then you don't want to be done with the ball of mud, right?
Well, then it won't be mud anymore. There'll be nice grass and
it'll be light. It'll be light.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a nice place, which necessarily this isn't for everybody. It is for a lot of people, including myself. It's a nice place, but there's a lot of people that don't have that feeling.
Well, I tend to go back to law of attraction, and what we choose to see, we see. So yeah. I try not to look at, I look at the age of Pisces, the age of darkness, from a historical perspective, and to see where we're going, rather than to beat the drum of everything that's wrong, because then we're going to be adding to more of that. And then if that is indeed archon energy, and they feed off, our fear and our angst and our, emotionality, well, then what are we doing? So we need to stay in the higher energies of just feeling good, feeling peaceful, feeling neutral. And I'm going to step down off my soapbox right now.
Oh, that was great. You didn't have to stop. That was great. That's highly instructional. That was great.
Oh.
No, keep going. Keep going. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Yeah.
We didn't say you could stop.
Oh, all right. So sorry.
Yeah, she should trump my two of spades, that's for sure, because I'm totally agreeing with you. As every time I bring it up, I give it power.
We do give it power. So we can spend our time in lamenting what was, right? We can spend our time trying to fight against what we think is, or we can add our energy to the collective consciousness of what we are dawning, what we are heralding in.
Right. So it's the collective mind.
Right. And even if this is a bunch of crap, then we're still going to have good days. Right?
Well, this gets back to that show we had, that whole series we had, Reaching for Utopia. At least we're reaching that direction. We're at least saying, okay, I'm going to think about my pie in the sky. Well, you're never going to have that. Well, you know what? You go over there, because I'm going to be thinking about my pie in the sky. Yeah. I'm really going to enjoy my future in my mind. You want to go have that, you go right ahead. But just don't bring it around me. I think we should
Absolutely.
do that,
Yep. And we like pie. So
we do. That's absolutely right.
Apple pie?
That's right. Well, you know what? As long as we got a little break here, we'll do a shout out to everybody in the chat room. We've got, looks like we've got about 8, 10 people in there. This is great.
I know.
Hello,
Hey, everybody.
hello, Carl. We've got Lakali. We've got Helidium Labs, Kami, Biney Guy, Kami the Cookie Monster. I love these names.
I know, right?
We're in the age also of strange names. Nobody has just names
in there.
anymore. Everybody has special names now. What's that?
That's good.
But yeah, so that's good to see everybody. That's great.
Well, if our name carries our vibrational frequency. So if you're not in alignment with the one that you were given, yeah, go ahead and pick another one. Right?
Yeah.
That's great. And it does matter. I think you're right.
So I have to tell a funny story. This morning I'm listening to somebody who's very knowledgeable about Vedic astrology, and I love her delivery. You know, she's a little bit Fran Drescher ish, a little bit Joan Rivers ish, and she was talking about Uranus, and she goes, and Uranus is going to wake your ass up. It's like, wait a minute. My anus is going to wake my ass up? Wait a minute. I know. I love her. And I actually did comment that in the chat. But, yeah. Yeah. So, watch out.
So
my mind went blank.
It did. So, yeah. So, Uranus, however you want to say it, does rule Aquarius. So there's a lot going on there. We're cycling back to the age of great knowledge, the spiritual sciences, the higher consciousness, the non-ism in general, right? The shift in the collective consciousness. This is why we're seeing and hearing so much more about quantum physics.
Well, that's where I was kind of going earlier. I was leading to, and where I was trying to go with this is that it seems that with this shift is not just a shift in perspective or outlook or a dropping of old ways and you know what, that's all old school. I don't like that anymore. It's not just about that as much as we're also being gifted, or gifts are waking up. Superpowers are being activated, if you will. Maybe that's an extreme way of saying it, but people are getting insights. They're getting dreams. They're getting weird stuff happen they can't explain. They're getting sensitivities. I think these things are on the increase.
Absolutely.
And you see that in people because a lot of people are more intuitive and they react more to details of spiritual knowledge than they did before. If I was talking to somebody 30 years ago, like I'm talking to somebody right now, I would be chased out of town.
You'd be burned at the stake.
We'd have a full bed and breakfast full of people in the insane asylum. I mean, we'd have just a lot of people. There'd be a lot of people.
Can my straitjacket be pink, please?
Ours are all going to be red. Broadcast Team Alpha Red.
Oh, that's our first item, right? There's
That's
our first
right.
piece of clothing.
That's right. We'll have badges too for how many different experiments they had on us. I guess I don't know.
So, allegedly something's going to happen during the equinox, the spring equinox. So, did I bump
What
the
do you
table
think
again?
will happen?
What do I think will happen? Well, I don't know, but flying saucers and spaceships fly through the air, and this is the age of Aquarius, and we're hearing more and more about disclosure. So, I'm open. I am open to all of the highest light, that's coming in.
So you think that there will be a greater signs in the sky, signs and wonders in the sky? That's your feeling.
I'm kind of counting on more than signs and wonders. Yeah, personally, yeah.
You're thinking disclosure? What are you thinking?
I am thinking disclosure. I am, and just call me a quasi Aquarian. But that's just my sense of it. Yeah.
I think a lot of us have had that.
Ready. Mm-hmm.
And there will be a day when you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to see thousands and thousands of flying discs in the sky. And there is nothing governments can do to deny that, oh, it's all swamp gas. It's not going to work that time.
Mm.
And that's from that day on is when it will be interesting. And that will be in the Aquarian age and be not very far in the future.
Like,
I don't have any date for it.
2 weeks.
Yeah, we're all hoping for a little sooner than later, I think, is what we're all looking for. I'm trying to get a ride arranged out of here.
You've been waiting on that ride.
I'm willing to wait.
Well, just remember your friends when the
I've got a complete pickup list, so
the cosmic Uber comes.
Not going to be a problem. These big 30-mile wide motherships, they got room for me and all my crap. So
So I'd like to do one more reference to the Bible because I find this incredibly intriguing. So in Luke 22:10, it said, there was talking about where to meet Jesus for the Passover supper, right? You enter into the city. There you will meet a man with a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house where he enters. So here's the crazy thing that I'm seeing here. Back then, men didn't carry pitchers of water. So to me, this is a reference of the age of Aquarius. And it also talked about, go up to the guest chamber, the large upper room, right? It's the right upper hemisphere of the brain.
Wow.
And we're talking about, connecting all of our energetic centers to activate the pineal.
So a lot of these things were allegories. They may not have been literal. They were, is allegory the proper thing, or metaphors or symbols? They were speaking in symbols.
Symbols, metaphors, yeah. However, I would love to know how other people interpret this, I don't know. It's just so glaring to me. I mean, is it me or do you guys see it?
Well, I see it because the Bible was written in code. It was on several levels of consciousness. It was basically at the time written for the ignorant masses with embedded coded information of spiritual value for the ones that was a little more capable of higher thinking. Mm. And you are just now referred that, we're looking at the higher codes in it, and we can see that in some points.
Right. And, the going back to the symbolism of the Waterbearer, right? So the symbolism of the Waterbearer, so we've got the picture of the woman, but, historically it's a man pouring the water, and he's pouring the water from above, mixing during the age of Aquarius with the waters below. So it's so as above, so below. So, yeah, I think this is a really exciting time to be here on the planet and to be, sharing this moment in experience. I don't want to say time, but in experience. It's so exciting.
There's a lot going on.
If we could have predicted, well, actually, I kind of was looking for something like this to happen. 30 years ago, I was looking for something like this to happen, like it is doing right now. But I wasn't really anticipating it because I was thinking, gosh, you got the military-industrial complex and governments are too powerful. It's hard for anybody to do anything. That was my philosophy back then, but that is all gone. We can make the change.
Right. But I agree with you, Aage, and I think this is something that we don't have to sweep under the carpet. It's those exact energies that are wanting to hold on to the age of Pisces and creating a lot of the turmoil that we're seeing. Yeah. So I think you make a great point.
Well, you were ahead of your time, but see, this is the thing that I've read about people's star seeds incarnating now for the past generation, Indigo Children, all of this. And you may well be one of those people. It was very apparent to you years ago because you were of that ilk. That's who you are. This was plain science. It was plain to you in your own awakening process. You were ahead of the pack. because maybe
Well,
this
I don't know
information
about
was
that.
always, maybe that, well, I mean, I'm just saying 30 years ago, Aage was saying you just didn't talk about it and people would put you away or they'd think you were nuts. And now it's common in New Age circles, consciousness. A lot of these concepts are bandied about daily. This is not, it's become mainstream.
Yeah, it has become mainstream.
It really is mainstream, kind of. Not necessarily in the fake news media yet, but it is mainstream. People are hearing it from different sources. They're hearing this kind of message, and it's making an impact on them just by osmosis, if nothing else.
Well, and it's helping it give we're providing a little education, a little entertainment, and a little insight into what's happening, so that we're just another. How did you say that earlier, Nori? That we're guiding people along the way.
We're just walking each other home.
We're just walking each
yeah.
other home. Yeah, I like that analogy because that's all we're doing. We're just like, okay, I found out a few things I think are pretty cool. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. Aage doesn't know everything. But we sit and talk about these things and provide some insight as to what we see. And other people are bringing stuff to us. So this has been a really great experience, getting the different people that we have on these shows, giving us more and more insight. To me, this is, like you said, this is a fascinating time to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So Carl Gruber, my beloved colleague in the coaching industry, he's a big practitioner of A Course in Miracles. He asks, how does mass consciousness play into seeing of flying saucers, ET, societal changes, etc.? A Course in Miracles states that we project what we want to see. I don't know if I have that answer.
Well, it makes sense according to quantum theory that we could actually be projecting UFOs into the sky if you were that switched on, and we could manipulate matter. We could literally put UFOs in the sky. And he's saying, I think by his implication, is that a mass of people wanting to see a UFO, a combined energy of the combined mind, winds up creating it. Now, is it possible? Is it plausible? I don't know.
That is one of the theories out there, but it never, as far as I know, it has never been observed. But it is one of the theories out there.
Yeah.
And I don't think that will happen because a mass hysteria, the term, on that level, it's not going to do it.
I'm lost. Can you back up a little bit? I got lost.
Okay,
Let me raise my hand. I'm lost.
Okay, so what Carl is saying, according to A Course in Miracles, which I've heard of this, I haven't taken it, but I am familiar with it, states that we project what we want to see. So
Right.
it's a case of super law of attraction with one guy, now add it to a crowd of people, all energizing their thought consciousness to materialize an object in the sky because we wanted to see it. Not because it's there because of ETs, but because we wanted it there so badly that all of our combined energy created it. Now, I think that that's possible according to everything that we talk about. Is it plausible? Is it going to happen? I can't say it would never happen, but...
Well, are we creating it, or are we in an energetic space that we're observing it?
Okay, there you go. That's probably a better way. Maybe both could be possible in different timelines and different universes.
And there are more possibilities.
Yeah, exactly. I just had to learn to say that if somebody says it's impossible, it's almost like the quantum gods are saying, "No, wait a minute, we said you could," So you got to kind of take that into account. This whole quantum physics and quantum theory and all of it means that just about anything is possible that the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, and create timelines or whatever, create projections, any of that stuff.
So I want to focus on. Thanks, Carl. Very nice observation.
That was nice. Thanks. Yeah.
I love Carl. We have to have him on. He's amazing. I want to focus on the collective higher mind, right? I want to focus on, allegedly, with everything that's happening, we are able to manifest and see the results of manifestation faster. Now, I think it's interesting because has there ever been a more challenging, distracting time on Earth, right, that could pull our view from what we really want to manifest. So it takes more focus and it takes more attention in order to stay focused on what we want to create, or stay focused to being one with the collective consciousness. But that would be my intention, is to spend as much time as possible there for me.
And I think that that comes from, you've spent considerable amount of time researching and studying and listening and learning. And so we're barely tapping into astrology. We're barely tapping into these giant galactic calendars that are unfolding with these ages now that we're moving into Aquarius. So we're barely even tapping into it. But like I said earlier, what little I know and have seen, the implications of using these older calculations or older technology, if you will, that predates, that goes back thousands of years, to have dismissed it. Modern man dismisses all of it as just so much hooey, and then we come to find out these people were so calculated. I mean, these calculations and timelines and everything else that they have gone into, it's deep. It's very deep. It's very deep.
Deep. Speaking of cool people, hi Nancy. I'm going to do a shout out. Hi Nancy. Hi Kami Cookie Monster, Holidium Labs, Sun Star Lotus. Yay. You know, we have a pretty lively chat, and I can't quite type because my microphone is in the way of my keyboard. So I'm going to try and address comments as they come up. So, hey, Nancy.
So,
yeah. So I think go ahead, Aage. I'm sorry.
We can see the changes in some of the research that's been done at the higher institutions of learning also. One experiment that I know of, I think it was UCLA, where they had done some investigations into genetics of starseed children. And they found that normally we have a double helix, right, with fingers sticking out, and there's things around it. They call it junk DNA. Well, there's no such thing as junk. It all has a purpose. But in these children, in these, I think, 2 examples of them that they found, the so-called junk DNA started to assembling itself into a 3rd strand, actually inside of the 2.
Wow.
So they've never seen this before, except for in these 2 children. So there's some changes here that is genetically being constructed by something. And we wonder, what is that? Why does that happen when it hasn't happened before? It happens now, and the big change of things that's going on. I think there's a cosmic plan behind this.
Well, and that the genetic engineering and the genetic transformations are all in keeping with everything that we're hearing about the Age of Aquarius. And that's why we're hearing so much about stem cells and cloning and even Monsanto, right? So not the good side of it. So I think it's time. I think it's time for all that to happen.
Well, that's that shedding, the shedding of the old for the new. That's the whole thing. And we're right in that middle ground, I guess, is what I understand. We're in that in-between phase, so that we still have the remnants of the old, and we're making that shift now towards the new.
Mm-hmm.
Well, with the kind of communication system here, we have a global communication system. But look what we're doing here. We're about 2,700 miles away from Tom here, for myself, and probably about the same for Nori. So we can talk to anybody, anywhere in the world, and we can communicate all kinds of information anywhere in the world. And we didn't have that 50 years ago. So in order to do something like this, we had to get on the telephone, and it got expensive. Now it is all in front of us. So whoever created the internet, they really screwed up, because now we're getting the information out there that is able to take down that deep state. And we can get our message out, and the good side is going to win.
This is what Terence McKenna referred to as the dominator culture, that people they're sick of it. They're sick of the wars. They're sick of all of the glaring things that have just been eating at us that we've had to tolerate, work and taxes and governments that are corrupt and everything else, all of it, people are just sick of the whole mess. So there's a hunger for it. There's a hunger for this shift. I think the shift could not have come along at a better time. It was great timing. I'm ready to shift.
I noticed the same thing in 1973 when the Vietnam War was going to an end, because people, they were sick of the war, they were tired of it, and they had candles in the windows, and they were talking about, let's end the war. And there were total unity among the people to end the war, and it ended. Even though that for the president and his wife, that was a great economic downturn because they owned the major stock in the war. And well, I don't want to go there. It ended. That's what people were able to do as a joint consciousness. They ended the war.
Right, right. So I think in keeping with what you're saying about the power of consciousness and the power of unity, I think we're going to be seeing the intentional, and we are seeing, we're seeing intentional communities, right, rising up. We're seeing, people getting big houses and having like-minded people come live with them and, sustaining themselves, in healthy ways. I think we're going to be seeing more of that. I think we're going to be seeing more meditative practices, more energetic practices, more mastermind practices. And they're so incredibly powerful.
I think it's about unshackling ourselves. We're basically unshackling ourselves from all the can'ts. No, you can't. It never will. All the negative statements are being rejected. People are saying, you know what? Maybe we can make a better place out of this planet. Maybe we can't. Maybe there's still time. Maybe we still can. So I want to kind of side with those people that, yeah, maybe there's still hope. I want to still hang on to that and stick with the people that are positive towards a positive future. That's where I'm going. So I think this is a really good shift.
This is speaking right into the arena of Nori here, because the law of attraction, that's what it's all about. If what we think about and think about and think about and intend with emotion and vivid, colorful pictures and so on, we're going to have. And this is what you've been talking about, Nori, and this is so powerful. We don't understand how powerful it is.
It is so powerful. And, I do see threads of it in certain, political arenas, right? People declaring that they have already won, people declaring that their truth is the truth, and for a certain energetic faction, that's true for them. That is true for them. I do see the light rising out of the darkness, on the global stage. I think there's a lot of information that we're not getting, and thank God, that we do have the internet. I was talking with a friend in Italy today. So if the fake news is going to block out our information, we can still get it, one-on-one by talking to friends across the planet.
Well, until they kill the internet, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yes.
But some countries have, well, you know what? We're just going to find ways around it. How about that? So we just stay hopeful. But you see, that's also what, to your point too, is that none of this works unless we get encouragement from time to time. I hear so many massively good principles and I go, yes. And then there's those moments of quiet time where sometimes something comes at you and you it just all of a sudden, And you know what? Having people that you can talk to is always an encouragement that you can get up out of that, to break that. So I think that's why it's really good to be around like-minded people that are thinking positive and wanting to move forward,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what's so important, because we draw a certain kind of people to us, and we are drawn to our kind of people. And I've never had as many friends as I have right now because of what we're doing here. Across the globe, I probably speak in maybe 2 or 3 different languages every day, talking with people around the world.
What languages do you speak in?
Well, I'm working on my English. I'm
Okay.
talking to people back in Norway, and I'm talking to people in Germany,
Mm. You speak German?
Denmark,
Wow.
Sweden. I
Really?
try to use their language because I don't get enough practice, you know.
Do you
So
speak light language?
no,
Have you heard anybody speak light language?
I have, but
Yeah, that's an
it was
interesting thing,
worse
right?
than Greek to me.
Well, yeah, no, it's a feeling thing. I don't think it's
Yeah.
a, yeah, let me define that syllable thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's also, do we say that it's not valid, or do we say that it's valid? Do
It's a frequency
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
It's a
Yeah.
frequency thing. I mean, if you measure it with traditional, mainstream earthly standards, you're going to go, they got a little neurologic disorder going on. But
Yeah.
but if the people that you are resonant with, like there's one person who sings in light language, and her voice, she can do that split tone like Janis Joplin used to do, but beautiful.
like a yodeling.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't even know how it's just like that split tone where the vocal cords do two
Harmonics.
different things. Crazy. Yeah. Now I could listen to her all day, and when I listen to it, it brings me the same feelings about when I listen. Like I listened to yoga music today, and that was at a
So
certain
is what you're speaking about?
frequency.
Is it kind of like Enya, something like that? Is that what you're thinking?
It's not like that. It's I'll give you her name when we get off the air, but
What have you got
I
there?
There's
can't
Anya?
sing.
Anya's. That's the best of Anya.
Ah,
You can keep your I am European license is now valid.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a phenomenal voice, and I don't know what she would have succeeded at 50 years ago, but our mentality and our vibration now is more open to accept her kind of voice.
Yeah, there were people that actually mocked her years ago, but now
Yeah,
you listen to it, it's just really nice music. It's not, and if you keep your mind open, a lot of the things that go on in our own heads, we put up blocks. I know I do. And it's like I have to say, okay, well, what's wrong with her? Well, nothing. Well, who put it in your head that there might be something wrong? And so
so
we
what about me cannot connect to her frequency right
exactly,
now? And
yeah.
then we
yeah,
can choose, do I want to make the shift, right? It's like when somebody makes a joke and you don't think it's funny, or you can shift and try to find humor in it. Same thing with the frequency of music or the frequency of people who are singing. Right? Loggie's smiling because of all the jokes I never laughed at that he made. I know. I've come a long way, right? Um,
yeah,
yeah. So when we are turned off, or when we bump up against something that we go, you know what, that's really, I'm having a huge judgment about that. Why, what is it? Maybe it's me. What can I shift in myself to see if I want to align with that frequency, to see if I can be benefited by that frequency?
A lot of times people kind of get swept into thinking certain things because it's groupthink. It's the way we always did it. It's the way my mom and dad did it. It's the way this or that, or the church, or this or that. And so I think part of this whole process is stepping back and saying, wait a minute here. Now, maybe I can consider something. Maybe there's something logical going on here I can learn from. Maybe there's a piece in this I can get something from. I think we got to go that way. This heavy polarization, fighting and whatnot, it's all a distraction taking us away from these better concepts to think about. The politics, all of that's just toxic. It's just it's
yeah,
just all of it is so toxic. It'll take you down. But getting in these conversations and finding out about things that make us happy, talking about music that you like with other people, getting that vibration up, by just being happy and enjoying each other's company and dinner parties, that kind of thing. That's where we need to be going instead of a lot of this other stuff that's really trying to take us down. And like you said earlier about how there's this archonic feeding that's going on from all this anger and tension and everything else.
Yeah,
And the best way to beat it is to start laughing. I mean, there was a Star Trek
absolutely.
episode about that where this anger had overtaken this ship and they finally figured it out. They started laughing and it just broke the whole energy. It was a great little metaphor, the whole episode. So, yeah, We need
I
more of
think
that.
also I think also that the group mind was much stronger before. Now I think the individual consciousness is rising to the surface to the point where people understand their own power more. Let's say 30 years ago, if I was sitting in a group and everybody agreed and I disagreed very strongly because I knew they all were wrong, I would probably not say anything. I would just sit there and nod my head and say, oh, okay, well, there's 40 against 1. I should keep my mouth shut.
Exactly. Do
Now
you want to get out of here, right?
it wouldn't happen. I would say, wait
Yeah.
a minute, what about this one? I would voice my opinion. And I think a lot of people are getting to that point now.
Well, too, people are more open because of technology, and there is a lot of seeding of acclimation going on in society. We've talked about that ad nauseum, about science fiction and soft disclosure, getting concepts out there about what extraterrestrials might look like. They're going to look different than us. How do we interact? So there's popular culture that's been seeded with, like we've talked about the Orville and Star Trek Discovery and things like that. And so these concepts are no longer foreign to people. You've had 30 years of Star Trek. So this concept that somebody's going to get beamed up or teleported, that's not going to scare anybody. In fact, if somebody did teleport to a parking garage somewhere, they'd probably go, really? How did he do that? Rather than being intimidated.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Do it
show
again.
Yeah, show us how that works, So I think that there's a greater
Can I come
receptivity.
with you?
That's right.
Well, I think we need to beam up to the mothership because we're at the top of the hour. So
Oh,
this
yeah.
this was fun. This was fun
Well,
in our red shirts. Yeah,
That's right. We've
Red
reclaimed the red shirt. The red shirt is no longer a symbol, a negative symbol. We've reclaimed it as our, who knows, our happy symbol.
Okay.
We broke the Star Trek curse.
Oh, that's right. I forgot
Yeah,
about that.
red shirts. I've had people say, "You guys always have red shirts," It's like, who
That's
cares?
right. Something's
I'm
gonna
not
happen to you.
superstitious, so.
Wow.
But you know what?
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
We should do a quick shout out. Take a look at our channel. We've got a lot of great interviews on there. For whatever reason, the YouTube algorithms or whatever, many of these interviews should have gone bigger than they did. We don't know why, but hey, take a look at some of our interviews. We've got some great interviews out there. Just some awesome information out there. We've talked to some great people. Subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, please. That helps us.
Please and thank you.
Please and thank you. That's right. So
And if you subscribe, we'll send you a notice when the next video comes out. So do it
We'll
for that.
send you a love note. We won't send you a notice. We'll send you a love. Notice sounds so like intimidating, right? Like your license plates are due to be renewed, right? We're gonna send them a love note.
we also have the Facebook group, the Broadcasting Alpha Facebook
We
group,
do.
and we've got a bunch of other groups. Nora, you're leading a couple of different groups.
I am.
And a quick shout out, you've also got this mind body fusion thing going on.
I do. Mind, body, spirit, and soul fusion. It's a transformation 12-week masterclass. So it looks like we're going in there to transform the body. But based on everything that we've talked about, people will find once they get into it that they might be there to do deeper work, because it's about aligning the body, mind, spirit, and soul. Because from that place of balance, that's where everything happens. That's when you're in alignment. That's when you are, flying through the air like the higher frequencies. That's when you're magnetizing and pulling, amazing people and situations to you. So yeah, that actually starts tomorrow. So it's not too late to get in.
And they can get a hold of you through your website, everythingconscious.com.
They can.
Or just even through BTA. It doesn't matter. She'll get it. If you contact her through the
Absolutely.
website, she'll get the message. Take a look at that. I'm going to be ramping up my Free Cosmos channel again. That's going to be happening soon. So I'm kind of putting some things together for that. Aage, you've got your show went back on the air. So you're back
we
on.
started-
Universal Consciousness show's back. So we got a busy year going on. We got a lot of stuff going on. So we really appreciate all the listeners, all the viewers.
We do appreciate
We love you
them.
guys. So
Yeah, we
Oh,
do.
we love you guys.
and there's a shout out. I love the work of Aage from Sunstar Lotus. All right, great. All right, cool. So we're gonna have to get going here. We could be do this all evening. So, but it's time for us to kind of hit the trail here. You got anything left, Aage?
Bye.
Anything from Aage? Nothing? Nothing? Okay, live long and prosper. And I'm going to hit the music. We'll see you guys next week with a brand new show. We've got more interviews coming. Like us on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. And we'll see you next time.
Good night, good morning, good day, wherever you are.